So if you can think about Amazon as a pipeline, a pipeline. They don't produce any product. So somebody else produces a product. Somebody else uses the product. They just get it from point A to point B. So would you agree with the statement I'm about to make? That Amazon keeps changing its system. Yes. And they keep changing their system because of variables that keep coming up. There was a time our normal was if we ordered something and got it in 3 days, I mean, we were happy, right? Who's happy with that now? So they need speed. At one time, they just were known for books. Now you can buy a car. So the delivery systems had to keep changing. And now they're doing drones. Now they used to have trucks. They still have trucks, but now they have airplanes as well. So if Amazon was to create systems and structure according to a book that was written 5 years ago, that would be obsolete. So how, the question I want to answer is, so how do you actually build relevant systems and structures that are good for now and at least 2 more years? Anything beyond 2 years is wishful thinking in the world we're living in. Everything's moving faster and bigger. People's expectations are different. I don't care where you live. You might be in Timbuktu, Nebraska, or you might be in big town Nebraska. It really doesn't matter. People's psyche is still, I want it now. Because there was a time that people didn't know what was going on everywhere else. But if they are watching any Christian TV at all before they come to your church service, they'll watch some big names. And they bring those expectations with them. They'll say things like, hey, I was just watching so-and-so. Boy, did they preach today. Message they're giving to you is what? Yeah, you need to bring it. Boy, he knocked my socks off. But I'm going to go to sleep while you're preaching. That's my plan. So the question becomes, so let me work with this. That's a great question. The question becomes, I want to be there. I am here. How do I get there? Imagine for a moment you're living in Boston. You're living in Boston. And you want to get to England. You get to England. I don't care what you're driving. I don't care if you're driving a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a Porsche, a Ford, a Chevy. I don't care what you're driving. And how big your tires are. I've seen some cars out in the parking lot. I mean, you got some big dogs out there. And I don't care how jacked up you got this thing sitting up there. I don't care what size engine you have in it. If you are at the Atlantic thinking about going to England, doesn't matter what you drive, what system you have, what structure you have, it will not get you there. But I'll tell you what we do in church. Atlantic. So this line here is the Atlantic. Atlantic. I got my system, my structure. I take a running start at the Atlantic. Am I making this up? We all have tried it, haven't we? And you end up wet because you're not going anywhere. So, your destination determines your system and structure. Most people, what's your name? Brent. I think we met before. Most people are not clear about what their win is going to be, what they're trying to achieve. And the clearer you are about your destination, the more you can create the vehicle. So if you're writing this down, it is what we call vision and vehicle. Vision and vehicle. You've got to know where you're going, your destination, and organize yourself accordingly. So, back to Boston. Question for everybody in this room. If I'm in Boston, forget about the car now, forget about the truck, forget about that. If I'm in Boston, can I get to England? Yes. How will I get to England? A plane or a boat? So my car that got me either to the parking lot of the airport or the parking lot of the dock becomes obsolete. I'm going to ask you to write down 2 words. Willful abandonment. Willful abandonment. Everyone together. What are you willing to give up to go where you're going? You might be in love with your car. You may have paid a lot of money for your car. You might be mega impressed with your car, but your car is not going to get you to your destination. You have to abandon your vehicle, change systems and structures to get where you're going. So some of you have been praying about what God has shown you. He shows you, I want to take you to England. But you will not give up your car. And you're not comfortable with an airplane or a boat. So you've got to be willing to give up what you know for what you don't know. Write down the sentence. What we know gets in the way of what we need to know. Let me give you another sentence. Your past successes are the greatest roadblock to your future successes. Let me say that again. Your past successes are the greatest roadblock to your future successes. Because what you know gets in the way of what you need to know. I'd like for you to write down a word. Unlearning. 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 I'm going to give you a quote from Alvin Toffler, and then I'm going to work on that. Thanks, Brent, for that question. I wasn't planning on talking about all of this. I was going to make up some other stuff, but now I'm making up this stuff. Sentence. I'm going to say this 2-3 times so you get it. Because this sentence has helped me keep my life framed on a regular basis. I'm going to say this 2-3 times so you get it. Here's the sentence. The illiterate of the future, the illiterate of the future will not be those who can't read or write. Let me repeat that. The illiterate of the future will not be those who can't read or write. Period. Next sentence. The illiterate of the future, the illiterate of the future will be those who can't learn, comma, unlearn, comma, relearn. Period. Let me give that to you again. The illiterate of the future will not be those who can't read or write. Period. The illiterate of the future will be those who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn. Let me say that again for you. The illiterate of the future will not be those who can't read or write. The illiterate of the future will be those who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn. And dearly beloved, your challenge is not in learning. My challenge is not in learning. My greatest challenge is what? Unlearning. I was born with a curse. My curse is I can play any musical instrument. My curse is that if I hear a song one time, I can play it. I can play the keyboard, I can play the guitar, I can play the saxophone. I can play, except for the violin, I can play any instrument. I grew up playing the accordion. I can play any instrument, but none of them well. So I'm one of those people, if I watch you play some guitar chords, I'll pick it up. It's just how I'm wired. I remember in my church in Michigan, this lady came to me at the end of the service, and mother, and she says, "Hey, listen, I bought a saxophone for my daughter, and she said she was interested, and now she's not interested. Do you know anybody who would be interested?" I said, "Yeah, give it to me." So she gave me a brand new saxophone. I took it home that afternoon. I'd never put a mouthpiece in my mouth before. I figured it out. Next Sunday, I played How Great Thou Art in church. Not good. So I kept playing. And then I've always wanted to play jazz. You know, when I die, my family knows the music they're going to play. We had a family meeting a few weeks ago to decide my funeral, and yeah, we did. Got the whole thing lined out, where it's going to be, who's going to do what, everything, unless they die before me, so it could happen. But yeah, we got plan B. So if you come to my funeral, there won't be no Christian songs. I'll get enough of it up there. I like sweet jazz. And I like the old three combo. I just want somebody with a snare. You know, I need somebody on either a keyboard or a guitar, and I need somebody that's playing bass. So anyway, so we've already picked out which group is going to play for that, because they played for some of my parties. And so my wife says, "Hey, Sam, you've always wanted to play jazz. Why don't you take some lessons?" It's cool. So there's a town about 18 miles from us where the McDonald's was, called Benton Harbor. And so I found there was a music studio, and the guy gave saxophone lessons. So I made an appointment, started paying him money to teach me how to play a saxophone. Now remember, by now, I'm, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a good 3. I'm a 3, some days even 3.5. So I go there, and so I'm thinking he's going to teach me to play. He doesn't even want me to take my saxophone out of the case. He gives me this mouthpiece and wants me to get my armature right. So I'm sitting there. The first day it was like, go like this. I'm saying, this is stupid. And then he helps me to blow and gives me breathing techniques, the tracks. I am so frustrated. So I get home. My wife says, so what did you learn? Nothing. I'm not going back. She says, no, you need to go back. So I went back a few more times. But my challenge was, I could not unlearn. Same thing with golf. Anybody in here plays golf? I mean, you have 3 days in Nebraska, you can play golf. And so I started playing golf with my pastor, my youth pastor in Oregon. He needed a caddy, and I was youth pastor. So, yeah, I still remember him calling me up. Sam, I'm going out to play golf. Can you meet me there? Yes, sir. So I met him there. He said, where are your clubs? I said, never played golf. He said, okay, next week have some clubs. So, yeah, if you pay me, I'd get some clubs. So, of course, I didn't say that, you know. I didn't say that. So, yeah, I went by a yard sale and picked me up some rusted golf clubs. So, nobody ever taught me, so I just picked up clubs and, started hacking and became a fairly good hacker. And after that, we we started, I started hanging around some people who really golfed when I moved to Atlanta. And I found out that people who can golf don't like hanging around hackers because golfers know where their ball is going. Hackers are like, oh, might be behind me. I have actually hit one ball one time that went behind me. So again, my wife is wonderful. My wife says to me, Sam, you got all these people who want to play golf with you. Why don't you take some lessons? I went to the lesson place. And he said, okay, show me how you hold your club. So I showed him like a baseball bat. And then he said, no, you got to get your fingers like this. And I don't play golf today. But then I had 2 sets of clubs. I gave them away because I could never unlearn. And that continues to be a challenge in all of our life. Because the illiterate of the future will not be those who can't read or write. The illiterate of the future will be those who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn. Friends, I was sitting around talking to some of my preacher friends, maybe a year ago, and we were talking about preaching styles. And somewhere in there, in that conversation, I discovered I'm on my 5th preaching style. 5th preaching style. Because how I used to preach does not connect anymore. There was a time you could stand in your pulpit and say, you all know the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You can't do that anymore. You got to tell the story. Nobody knows. We have the most biblically illiterate generation ever. Just because you were raised in Sunday school doesn't mean that they know the story. So they're talking about Daniel marching around the walls of Jericho and Moses in the belly of the whale and teaching styles and communication styles. And for me to keep unlearning is what my quest is. My quest is, what do I need to dump out of my life? The quest of not just learning, but what do I know that gets in the way of what I need to know? What are my former successes that say, that worked in 1927? It did. And praise the Lord for that. And that was as godly and as biblical. It was wonderful. But the folk who are sitting in your church now are ADD, every one of them. Can I keep pushing on this for a moment? Communication. Communication experts tell us that thanks to the American TV commercials, a person's attention span is 28 seconds. That's the length of a commercial. 28 seconds. So, all of you are live in the same society I do, and your attention span is 28 seconds. Just because you got your eyes open doesn't mean you're not asleep. I mean, if you go to church, you learn the fine art of going to sleep with your eyes open. I mean, you can sit on the platform with your eyes open. and asleep. Absolutely, absolutely. So this is what's going on right now. Let's just say there are 200 people in this room. I'm telling you what's going on in my head as I'm talking to you. So is that okay to do? As I'm talking to you, I see you as blinking Christmas lights. Check in, check out, check in, check out, check in, check out, check in, check out, check in. Nobody's listening to me at the 5 people at this table. All 5 of them check out, check in at different times. I've seen Pastor Bob Wine check out there. He said, why isn't my name Jack Daniel? Can I tell you something else? While I am talking to you, I've checked out. Talk to me, somebody. So, so if I am talking to you and my mind is there, what about you? So my communication style is, in every session, I'm going to just get me one banjo string and play that the whole time because none of you are listening to me at the same time. Even as I'm talking to you about being checked out, you checked out. So there was a time in which you had longer spans to talk about. There was a time in which you could get a new trade and people revered you as the pastor and respected you, and you could get in the pulpit. My father was one of those. He could get in the pulpit and say, this is what we're going to do, and everybody say, yes, sir. Try that today. You'd better book a U-Haul. Yeah, so those were different days in which the preacher had ecclesiastical authority. Those days are over. They call you by your first name. Sometimes they say, hey, hey, hey. At least call me Pastor, hey. Brother, hey. Reverend, hey. What does hey mean? So I cannot compare that worked for my dad, so it'll work for me. His style of preaching was textual. By that I mean Thompson chain style. So you flip through your Bible the whole time. How many remember that? I mean, you went from Old Testament, New Testament, and you flip through everything. Now you tell people, go to your Bibles to 2 Corinthians. Last night, some of you had a hard time finding 2 Corinthians. You had to go to a table of contents. Am I connecting with you on that? So just because I'm talking about systems and structures, Brent. So how you communicate, if you know what your destination is, and then you got to lay tracks, you always work back, what I call my backward plan. You got to envision what you're going to do and then create the systems and structures to get there. Don't fall in love with your systems and structure. It is just a delivery system. You know what we have done in the church? We've fallen in love with our tracks. And forgotten that God has given us a bigger train and a faster engine. We've fallen in love with how we do things. We've fallen in love with the delivery system. So on this table and that table, there are different sizes and shapes of glasses sitting. Those are just a delivery system. There's a bottle sitting there. That's just a delivery system. Don't fall in love with the bottle or the glass or the lid or the straw. Just be aware what you are delivering. And my dearly beloved, most church fights are over systems rather than what is God saying to us. What is God doing in our life? What is our new train? What's our new engine? And we end up arguing about the tracks, and the tracks are totally irrelevant unless you know that they are going to run a bigger, faster train. Everyone good with that? All right. I'm going to give you 3 words and work on it for a while. By the way, about 20 of you bought books. The rest of you slackers. This happens everywhere. You'll come to me after they're gone. Oh. And I feel like going back to you saying, oh. Because that's what you do with the rest of your life. That you see the train leaving the depot. Books are out there. Val's got my swiper credit card thing. Do something. Come on. Talking to myself right now. 3 words. 3 words. Product, process, people. Product, process, people. Everyone together. Product, process, people. So I'm going to go back to last night and say a sentence, come back to tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing. Behold, I do a new thing. And what I want to do, please hear me real carefully what's in my heart. What I want to do is to start conversations in this room, in your head, and in your notes that you carry back to your churches and continue the conversation with your leadership at your churches. So what I'm doing here is what I call catalyst conference in that way. I'm starting some thinking, a way of thinking, behold, I do a new thing, and then I want you to take that thinking and then unpack it with your people. Product. Every church has a product. Every church has a product. And every church has a unique product. A unique product. Let me give you examples from places that all of us might know. There's a church in New York known as Brooklyn Tabernacle. What are they known for? Their choir. You do know they have a pastor, Jim Cimbala. So when you're in New York and you want to go to Brooklyn Tabernacle, you're going there for the choir. Now the man is spirit-filled, loves Jesus, loves to pray. He's a praying man. But the choir didn't sing. It's like, I came here for the product. Okay, let me give you another example. Let me take you to Dallas. I'm trying to give you big examples that everyone might know. Dallas. There's a church there called Potter's House. And what is Potter's House known for? T.D. Jakes. And their product is what? Preaching. Now you know they have a choir. Your church is defined by a product, but you don't know what that product is. People are saying things about your church, and that's what you need to know. Even Jesus looked at his disciples and said, who do men say that I am? Your church has a product. Your church has a brand, and people respond to that brand. The church that I went to in Michigan, it had just gone through a place where they had voted out their pastor. Anybody know what I'm saying when I say voted out pastor? Do you all do that in the Assembly of God? You probably don't. You love Jesus. You would never do that. So what happened was I got there as pastor in August. So rewind, they voted the pastor out in April. And according to their bylaws, if they got enough signatures, they could have a revote. So they got enough signatures, had a revote. And this time it was even more overwhelming. So he's voted out. So when he voted out, he stopped paying bills. In the meantime, they tried out 3 other preachers. Has anybody in here ever tried out for a church? Do you know what I'm talking about, tried out? You go in like a horse auction. They lift your tail and they open your mouth and they feel body parts. I want to see hands. How many of you have ever been through the humiliation of a tryout? I want to see hands. Yeah, I'm so sorry. So the 3 preachers tried out. They couldn't get majority vote. By now, this mega church was down to 27 people. And so they found out there was this youth pastor in Oregon. So I got a phone call from them saying, would you want to try out? I said, sure. But then I did some research and I found out that they could not decide on the other 3 because their bylaws said, you preach on this Sunday, we vote on you the next Sunday. So I said to them, I'm going to preach Sunday morning and right after the service vote. I had only 1 sermon. But that dog could hunt. I could turn that baby loose. It would. That thing, even Jesus took notes on that one. I want to tell you. It was good. It was good. It was amazing. It was just totally. Whew, I got happy just thinking about that. I've always been crazy. So they said by now they're hard up, right? I mean, their preacher is gone. Church is dwindling. They tried out 3 other preachers. They could not get the votes, whatever that was. So I said to them, I'll preach Sunday morning. After that, I'll leave the room. You all vote. They had no other option. I mean, it was like we stuck with this Indian dude. We can't understand what he is saying. He doesn't look like any of us. Because I was the darkest person in the entire county. The first foreigner they'd ever seen. So I preached my good sermon. And they voted me in. So I went into the Ace Hardware store in town to buy some stuff on the church account. Can someone tell me where I'm going with the story? They turned me down. How many of you remember those Ace Hardware stores in town where you don't know who works there and who volunteers there? All the toothless old geezers hang around. I've seen some of you in there. So they said to me, preacher, this is what they said to me, preacher, we don't know you. Now remember, this is that one blinking lights town. Preacher, and the name of my church was Full Gospel Assembly. So, preacher, we don't know you, but you owe us money. I said, really? How much money do we owe you? So they told me how much money. So I went back to church and tried to get that money, and they said, no. We didn't buy that. That preacher bought it. I said, well, if you want to do business with that store, you got to. So they are tangled into this vote thing, right? I'm saying, we got a testimony in town. Are you with me on that? Their end was, we didn't make that bill. My end was, we have a testimony. I remember the first vote they turned me down on. Board meeting. Board meeting. I'd heard there was such a thing called agenda. I went to Bible college for 4 years, but nobody ever taught me how to do a board meeting. I mean, why would they teach you something you can use? I knew eschatology. When is Jesus coming back? I knew that. Oh, I knew that. Yeah, in those days I knew everything. And so I went into this board meeting, had a printed out agenda. Now you remember the Deacon Boland? Those kind of people at the table. I'm giving them a piece of paper. They've never seen a piece of paper before. With the topic saying agenda. I mean, these are the good old boys who get together and just handle business. All I wanted to do was to take out an ad in the yellow pages. How many of you remember what yellow pages? But our yellow pages in our town was 15 pages long, like this. And all I wanted to do was take out a block ad. Block ad. It was going to be $5 a month. $5 a month. That was on the agenda. Number one thing on the agenda. I knew what I was doing. Stupid me. They looked at me and said, "Preacher, we believe that the Lord brings those He wants us here. We don't need to advertise." They turned me down over $5. Later on, I realized it had nothing to do with the advertisement or the agenda. It had to do with them letting me know in the first meeting. Preachers like you come and go. We are here. We were here before you, and preacher will be here after you. Every church has a product. You have a product. Because there's no such thing as you going and branding yourself. Your brand is already out there. Your brand is already out there. Do you all have Chick-fil-A's in Nebraska? If I was to ask you to give me a description of what you would call the brand of Chick-fil-A is, what would you say? Eat more chicken. But their brand is customer service, right? Nice people, as opposed to Burger King. So when you go into Chick-fil-A, you say thank you. They say what? My pleasure. You go to Burger King, say thank you. What do they say? That's about all you're going to get. If you get that. Be happy you get that. Frame that. Put out your phone, say, "Can I turn it on record? Can you say that again?" You say it so well. Can you do that one more time? Every place has a product. My question is, what do men, women, children say about your church? And don't give me this stuff, well, we are the friendly church. No, you're not. I walk into your churches, and there are greeters who are busy greeting each other. They got their own holy huddle going on. You can go into a church and walk out there and nobody talk to you. So, what is your product? Here's my question for you that I'd love for you to take back to your churches. You ready to write? Why do people come and stay at our church? Why do people come and stay at our church? Let me make sure you got that question. 1, 2, 3. So I want you to know your church doesn't have a back door. You know, people say, well, the back door, people leave. No, you got revolving doors. And they're everywhere. People leave through the choir, they leave through the small group, they leave through the music department, they leave through youth, they leave through children, they leave through preaching. They're gonna leave through all of that. So the whole idea of why do people come and stay? If you don't know that, you don't know what your product is. Now, some of you are sitting and say, well, our product is Jesus. That's right. But you are the one delivering the product. If they don't like you, they don't like Jesus. There's a movement in the United States of America, especially over the last 3 to 5 years. People are not anti-Christian, they're anti-church. They have nothing against Jesus. They just don't like the Jesus that we give them. Because we have those 3-hour services in which nothing's being said. We're preaching about some irrelevant subject. We're singing songs that nobody knows. So when people, unchurched people, how many of you know church is to get people saved? Is that not true? Let me say it another way. Sunday is your showroom. Monday through Saturday is your factory. Churches don't grow on Sunday. Churches do not grow on Sunday. Churches grow Monday through Saturday. Because Monday through Saturday, we have the opportunity to be incarnational in our communities. That is when we take the church to them. Because you are the church, I'm the church. Everywhere I go, there's a church. So, the question is, why do people come and stay? Now, some people come and stay because they have no other option, or they don't want to go anywhere else, or the children are there, or their grandchildren are there. So let me digress for a moment. Almost every growing church that I'm working with, and when I say growing, don't put a number on it. A growing church can be a church that was 15 last year and it's 20 this year. If you're 15 last year and you were 20 this year, what percentage did you grow by? 33%? I don't know if he's right or not. Let's take it. He said it with such authority, I'll take it. Is he right? Okay. That means people checking you out. Is there anybody in here who wouldn't want a 33% increase? So don't get hung up on, well, we were 15 and now we are 20. You grew by 33%. Celebrate that. Because if you, let's see if you can do this. If you're a church of 10,000 and you grow by 33, how many would you have? 13,333. Is he right? I don't know, but he's sounds good. I'll buy it. I'm buying. You selling, I'm buying. Are you with me on that? So, here's what I want you to know. Every growing church that I know about on this planet, I'm not just talking about America now, this planet. I'm not talking about city, rural, I'm talking about this planet. I'm not talking about big town, small town, this planet. I'm not talking about north, south, this planet. Every growing church that I know about on this planet has one thing in common, apart from Jesus. And I know some of you, the religious spirit said, he ain't going to send Jesus. I know some of you are dying right now because don't even have a Bible with me. So I know I'll bring it with me tonight, show you I have a Bible. So I might even say something from it. I'll work it in. Every growing church on this planet has one thing in common. They have an exceptional children's ministry. An exceptional children's ministry. Did you know parents and grandparents will put up with mediocre preaching and lousy worship and toilets that don't flush and toilet tissue holders that have no toilet tissue in them? Have you ever been there? You know, no job is finished till the paperwork is finished. So why does my mind go there? I don't know. parents and grandparents will put up with mediocre preaching and lousy worship, if the children get excited about going to church. So get children out of the dingy basement. Give them prime spot. When parents walk in, let them see where the kids go. Children. I'm talking about your product. What are you known for? What do people in your community say who you are? Why do people come and stay? Because a lot of people come but don't stay. But those who do come and stay, you got to find out, why are you staying? Why are you still here? I think that might be a great question to walk up to somebody who's been there for 2 months, shake their hand and say, can I ask you a question? Why are you still here? Because I know we've given you 15 reasons to leave. Why are you still here? Because till you hear that. Okay, let me break it down even further for you. Because I really want you to take the way I'm thinking into some kind of meeting at your church. Let's just say you got 50 people in your church. Let's just say on a Sunday morning, you average 50 people. Cool, no problem. Because there's no such thing as, there's no such thing as a small church and a large church. There's only small thinking and large thinking. Because a small church, numerically, can have as much impact sometimes as a large church does. So don't go there with me as to, well, we're just a small church. No, if you say that, if you are saying that, then your people are saying the same thing. And if your people are saying the same thing, oh, we're just a small church, that just suffocates their mentality. And you want them to have a bigger train, but you've been telling them we are a small church. There may be only a few of us, but we love Jesus. No, there's a whole lot of us here. And we love Jesus. So this is what you can do. And do it 3 Sundays in a row. Everyone who comes in, give them a 3x5 card. On the top of the 3x5 card, it says this. The reason, are you a pastor? What's the name of your church? Cornerstone. Assemblies have got so many cornerstones, evangels, Calvaries, glad tidings. I don't know. So, Cornerstone. The reason, here's what it says on the top of the 3x5. The reason I come and stay at Cornerstone is, and leave the rest of the card blank. Don't put boxes in there to check and stuff like that. Leave it blank. Anonymous. Do it 3 Sundays in a row. Why 3 Sundays in a row? Where very few people come 2 Sundays in a row. I remember working with the church in which their bylaws for election of their deacons, elders, trustees, I don't remember what category it was, but it said in there, faithful members. What does faithful mean now? In my dad's church, faithful meant you were there every time. And even in funeral day, you will be there. What does faithful mean now? Now, if somebody shows up twice a month, oh, how blessed are you? So what does faithful mean? So nobody comes to church 2 Sundays in a row, so you're doing it 3 Sundays in a row so you can get the critical mass. What I'm about to tell you is gold. Collect those cards. Get 4 or 5 people in the room. And start creating stacks. I come and stay because of preaching. Preaching stack. Worship stack. Children stack. Location stack. Whatever, youth stack. And put cards in there. If a card says worship and preaching, tear it in half. Put half in worship, half in preaching. Once you've done that, now you've got 5, 6 stacks of cards. Don't put it into an Excel PowerPoint. Nobody gets excited about Excel and PowerPoint. Take those cards and put a rubber band around it. I'm trying to help somebody here. I know some of you techie people are saying, well, I can make a spreadsheet. I can't say what's coming to my mind right now. So, uh, thank God I caught that one in time. Whoa, that was close. That was close. That was, whew. It would have been my last moment right here. Bob Wine would be running up here, jerking me off. Get out of here. So, put rubber band around it on the fourth Sunday. Because anytime you do a survey like that, you've created expectations, right? They want you to give them the results. Never do a questionnaire survey without having a plan how and when you're going to give them the outcome. So you go into the pulpit, you got 3 stacks. Just take 3 stacks with you, the top 3. Get your drummer ready on the back there. Drum roll. The reason people come and stay at Cornerstone, the number 3 reason is grrr, bam. And you hold up the rubber band because they can almost see their card in there. They come and stay, number 2. They come and stay, number 1. And dearly beloved, that's how you find out why people come and stay. Let me ask you a question. Imagine you had a restaurant, and you ran the monthly receipts, and you found out that people bought fried chicken the most. The number 1 item people bought was fried chicken. But in your head, because you're the owner of the restaurant and the starter of you planted that restaurant, you think you do burgers better than anybody else. You think you're the burger guy, but everybody's buying fried chicken. And you have an opportunity to take out a billboard on the highway and a picture on it. What picture are you going to put on it? Come on now. Fried chicken. Now, you might be in love with your burger, but ain't nobody buying burgers. And that's what we do in church. People are buying fried chicken, and we are pushing burgers. And so they'll go somewhere else where they do good fried chicken. I have a friend, his name is Wayne Hicks. Wayne Hicks is a pastor of a Congregational Holiness Church in Gainesville, Georgia, about 1.5 miles from Jensen Franklin. Some of you may have heard of him. So Wayne invited me to come and preach at his church maybe 1.5 years ago or something like that. When I walked into his church, it was like we stepped back in time. I was one of the youngest people there. I was in my 60s already. Everybody in a suit and tie. They had hymnals. How many of you remember a book called Hymnal? Some of you don't know hymnal is. It's a book with songs in it. They had the quartet music. So I'm sitting there on the platform thinking, man, I don't see any kids. I don't see any young adults. I'm the youngest person here. We're still thinking 120 and 57. And we still have a choir director like that. So I'm having lunch with him after the service was over. I said, Wayne, I think it was 2014. I said, Wayne, he's my friend. I think he still is. So I said, Wayne, I lose a lot of friends. So I said, Wayne, it's 2014, man. Do you know what all the other churches are doing? He kind of smiled. And his smile said, you're stupid. But let me tell you why you're stupid. He said, you know, there's a whole group of people, older people, who still want to sing their songs, who don't like the loud music. and they don't have an alternative. So I said to myself, self, what would be like if I gave an opportunity for people to come to a church that sang their songs, that they did their worship? He says, Sam, I built 3 buildings. I got a few $1,000,000 in the bank, don't know what to do with it. These people gave an autopilot. I don't have to do any marriage counseling. Not doing any baby dedications. Once in a while, I might do a wedding. Do a lot of funerals. So I got 2 full-time pastors who do nothing but funerals. That's what they do. But they're bereavement pastors. So they do all the grief counseling and funerals and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there saying, there's a brilliant man right there. Because he recognized what his product was. Are you with me on that? These people come to church with the checks written. You don't have to encourage them to give. They're ready to give. And all you got to do is do a mean funeral. And you pick up new clients, new members at every funeral. Isn't that amazing how sometimes we have what we have and we don't even know what we have? And we don't know what we have because we have become answer people and we've stopped asking questions. If you are the smartest person in the room, it's a very sad room. You won't be able to ask questions. Why do people come and stay? You got to know your product. Number 2, I got 7 minutes left. At 12 o'clock, we break for lunch, or am I overtime already? 7 minutes? Are you okay with that? You're lying to me right now. I can tell in your eyes. It's just like you're going preaching, somewhere, and you look at the preacher says, how much time do I have? They say, oh, take your time. They're saying, oh, shut up. Okay. I'm going to quit right here. I could tell by your body language that you were lying. Kearney, you can tell that he was lying. Well, he's lying, right? He's lying. Come on. Okay, you got to go home with him. So, yeah, I understand that. I understand the dynamics over there. Yeah. So when we come back tomorrow morning, we'll come back tonight too.